Make it saucy is what Derek always says. Make it saucy.
Make it saucy.
So Jimmy Page has just come out in support of artists. He's released a public statement, and he in support of artists getting paid.
Yeah.
They're right because there's been a lot of news on the streaming services, record labels, and artists are just not getting paid what they used to get paid from. We were just talking about like bands from the '90s, even in the early 2000s. They made it while making it was good,
right?
And there's a lot of like fallback or pushback, and people are getting upset with like Bob Dylan's selling his catalog off. Oh no, well I get it. It's weird. It was weird to me too when I first heard it. It's sad because I'm like, he doesn't own his stuff anymore, but he's already been paid for it. And when you used to get paid as an artist, and somebody paid him $300 million.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
I could buy a lot of guitars with $300 million.
Yes, you could.
I could buy Gibson guitars with $300 million. I think maybe. I could have like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Maybe not now, but yes.
See, like when they were in their troubles. Darn it. Gosh. Wish I was Bob Dylan. But anyway, so Jimmy Page releases a whole statement. We have it listed up here so you can actually look at it. But it's a pretty forceful thing coming from one of like rock's like icons.
Right.
If you are a writer of Stairway to Heaven,
yeah,
like it that alone is a lot of credit. And then Niles Rodgers comes out as well.
Yes.
And like the whole thing is like they're not upset with the streaming services. They're actually upset with their labels a lot of ways. That's the thing that we're trying to figure out is the relationships with the labels. What did you say they did earlier?
It seems like the labels are sort of buying into the streaming services and partnering with them, but the people getting left out are the actual songwriters. The songwriters, are having these songs that they've written or co-written. They're getting millions of streams, and then they make $100.
Well, yeah, I'm going to read that quote in just a minute, which is crazy. But yeah, the labels are sort of selling their catalog or making negotiations to not selling, but letting the streaming services use the catalog of their labels artists for like a bulk fee.
Yep.
And they haven't really figured out how to compensate the actual songwriters and artists.
Which I think is why we're seeing like Bob Dylan, and I think David Crosby came out and said he was going to sell his for the same reason.
Well, they are. They create these great works, and now I think they are being robbed in a lot of ways. And don't get me wrong, I am a perpetrator of this because I stream. I haven't bought any new music in years.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's that's how I listen to the majority of my music as well.
Oh, I don't have a CD player anymore.
Yeah. Nothing. I mean, computers don't really have.
And I used to buy when there was iTunes and stuff. I'd buy I'd buy the records when whenever the new Strokes came out or something. I'd buy that, or when like this Marcus King's going to come. Well, not Marcus King because he wasn't really around then. It was. Yeah, that's kind of what but now it's just I stream everything.
It's a different model. Yeah,
it's a whole different model, and the model has not caught up with how to pay the artist.
Right.
So one of the quotes that we thought was fascinating. Was Fiona Bevan. She's an English musician who co-wrote a track on Disco, a #1 album by Kylie Minogue, and Kylie Minogue is a huge artist, a pop artist, been around for decades at this point. Was the girlfriend of the lead singer from INXS for important years of his life. That's all I'll say. But anyway, if you don't know who Kylie is, but she's been paid £100 sterling for her song. That is a #1 hit song. That is unheard of. And then one of the this is another quote. One of the stats that the Ivers Academy has just published is that 8 out of the 10 songwriters earn less than £200 a year from streaming.
Wow.
So there's a big problem here and a big discrepancy upon what you create and how you're being compensated for it.
And I even saw a few people, not widespread, but sort of dog on Jimmy Page, like, oh, you've made all this money, you're being greedy. But I don't think he's coming out for himself. He's coming out for these folks who, this is their life. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to make art, and they're not getting compensated. I think he's speaking up for. I do too. I think the newer musicians.
Yeah, I think from what we understand from all we read, because I've not met Sir Jimmy Page in person.
No, not yet.
Love to. Jimmy, if you're watching, you want to be on the channel, just give us a shout. Give us a ring on the telly.
That's right.
The Ocean's still one of my favorites, that guitar solo. Anyway, but no, it's I think he's trying to help the young and up and comers. He has made his money.
Yes,
he's worth over $100,000. I
would say that's true.
Easily, but no, it's a problem. So because we were talking earlier about it too. I watch TikTok videos just for fun. It's sort of like my little nighttime routine right now until I go back to reading a book. I take breaks between my books and just turn off. I'm getting ready to read a StarCraft book. That's how much of a nerd I am. My wife bought it for $1 at the dollar store, so I was like, I'm reading it. StarCraft. Anyway, so but I was watching TikTok, and there's all these TikTok artists that are like having huge amounts, like 40 million downloads, 100 million downloads, but they're not rock stars in the same way of the old, because no one knows who they are.
Right.
They live in their mom's house. They're still like 20 years old or 18 or 15 sometimes, and these songs are being shared and streamed all over TikTok, all over Spotify and whatnot, but there's no payment for it anymore in the same way.
And I mean, there was a time that if 40 million people listened to your song, you were guaranteed sort of fame and fortune in a weird way.
I know, because like
that's changed.
Because I remember back even in my like small days of like 5 seconds of getting paid for music I created, it was, I was paid, I was compensated, which was a really neat thing.
It is. It's pretty nice.
I would still get the checks. Like I get, and I think I was BMI. Yeah. That's what I was. I wanted to be an ASCAP, but because I thought ASCAP was cooler. But
BMI.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so the lames.
And I've had dozens of Spotify streams.
Dozens? You've gotten checks. You don't get checks unless you make over like $100. They won't send you a check.
Yeah. So I'll never see one. It's fine.
That's really sad. It makes me happy though. It's like being around weak people makes me feel strong. That's right. Hey. Being around weak people makes me feel strong. It's from Luna, one of my favorite bands from the 90s and 2000s in the New York scene. But
there you go.
That lyric always made me happy. It's like, that's my motto of life. No, it's tricky. It's a lot of the artists have sort of figured out the model to sort of avoid that and still generate. Like I look at like guys that we like respect and love a lot, like Joe Bonamassa is not making his money from streaming.
Definitely not.
He's making his money from touring, merch. He's got a movie coming out. But he does lots of things with Epiphone and Gibson and Fender, and he sells these guitars exclusively through his that was a hard word to say through his website. Yeah. He had these great like high-powered Fender Twins come out. Like he's figured out that. Artists are figuring out. COVID has thrown a wrench in that whole system.
Yes, for sure.
Which is really frustrating, but not for artists once you're at the level of Joe. He can still generate and figure out what he's doing. But the younger artists are really struggling right now.
Yeah, because if you can't tour and generate money that way, where does the money come from to create these songs? You can only sit around for so long. That's not a infinite time frame.
No, it's and this is almost like our call to you if you're out there and you do have some of these young artists, and even the ones that you think are doing pretty well, like buy their merch.
Yes.
Like they will ship it out. Like if you bought Jonathan's hat. Like Jonathan's at home, like packing it into his own. Actually, he comes here because he uses the free shipping at the guitar shop.
Of course.
But he's packing his hats and sending them off, and like signing them, whatever. It's not some company, because how many hats have you had total? Like 4?
Maybe.
I'm kidding. He's had a lot of hats. People buy his hats because they're really cool. I have one of his hats. He had to give it to me for free though. I think I paid for something else of yours. I don't know.
That's probably true.
Maybe, just to be nice. But
do that.
So. Yeah. I mean. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you like these artists, like that's the way to really support, and like and reach out to, I'd say send an email to your streaming service. Why not? That's kind of like back when people used to like write letters to their congressmen, and there's acts of legislation that some of these artists are trying to have put forward to, because there was that time. Remember, like when not even Napster, but like the Don Henley stuff, when like they were trying to like switch like to be like work for hire,
right?
To like artists wouldn't get paid at all anymore after a certain amount of time or whatever. So it's like, oh. You wrote, Hotel California. Sorry, you don't get those royalties anymore. It's an interesting deal. So we're excited to see like Jimmy Page and Niles Rodgers have both made public statements. We're hoping some of the other big artists will come out and do that too. And I remember when this was my favorite moment in this whole thing. This was years ago. That was back when Apple was transitioning over from iTunes to incomplete streaming service.
Sure.
They were not being nice with who they paid. They weren't paying artists completely. And their main artist, Taylor Swift, said, okay, well, I'm just not going to be on Apple. And then she just tweeted it. And then immediately Apple, they sent out a tweet too or whatever. It's like, we're fixing our payments to artists. So I always say like she's the most important feminist of our past decade in some ways, because she can change a business model for the entire industry with a tweet.
With one tweet.
And she's brought, and I'm going to Taylor Swift praise for a minute. I've talked about her before. She's brought more people into guitar than almost any artist in the past decade for female artists coming in.
Definitely.
When 10 years ago, our lesson base was 95% men.
Yep.
And now it's 55% female almost.
Yes.
It's insane the change that has happened. Artists like that it's changed the model. We thank that, just getting more young humans into the guitar.
It's true.
It's awesome. Anyway, listen to music. Support your artists. But let us know what you think too. Do you think like, hey, they've made their money, or they don't need to get paid for writing these songs or recording them? We should only pay them if we go see them in tickets and concerts, which is another video of ours that you should check out because those are going to be more expensive soon.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, you know, it is an odd thing because, like you said, I do use the streaming services. But then when I really think about it, I think, oh, wow, this is maybe not the fair system. What do you guys think? Do you stream your music? How do you offset that? Do you order albums or physical CDs from people you like? That's a great idea.
The albums.
That goes to the artist if you order it from them, obviously. So let us know in the comments what you guys do. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please think about doing so. Hit the like button, hit the bell so you don't miss videos in the future. We appreciate you listening.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.